Yeah, it's unprecedented in modern times, I would say, the amount of men who are leaving the country because of the actions of their own government.
And this is, I mean, people are actually saying it's because we don't want to fight, we don't want to be part of this. Is it really something that Putin can stop?
The exodus, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, he could stop the exodus by stopping the war, but he doesn't show any signs of wanting to stop the war.
And so, what's the mood where you are at the moment? Are you in Moscow at the moment?
No, I'm in Ukraine.
Oh, you're actually in Ukraine at the moment. Okay. So what are you hearing from there? And what are Ukrainians making of this rush to their border? Oh, well, not their border, but to the Russian border to get out of the country?
Well, friends I know in Moscow, I know a number of people who have already left the country because they were afraid that they would be called up. And these were people who were opposed to the war from the very beginning. I mean, I don't think we can say with any certainty that these people who are fleeing are people who supported the war. There's a significant number of people in Russia who oppose the war. I'm sure maybe there's a few among them who kind of, as you said, kind of quietly supported it and now realize they don't want to, they kind of came home to them. But there was more opposition to the war in Russia than people seem to realize. A lot of people realize. I mean, 16,500 people arrested, more than 100 people facing 15 years in prison for anti-war statements. So.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's important that you give us that balance, Mark, because, of course, the impression of many people here is that, by and large, if there was real anger about the war, if there was real dissent against it, there weren't that many people. But 16,000 is a significant number, although Russia, of course, is a country of over 100 million people.
Yeah, but we're also dealing with a totalitarian state. I mean, I think there's a contradiction in recognizing as a totalitarian state ruled by a bloodthirsty dictator, and then expecting the people under that rule to also be responsible for the actions of their crazed leadership.
Yeah, and where are most of the Russians going, as far as you know? The ones leaving the country.
My friends are all going to Georgia, which is a former Soviet republic to the south of Russia. But some of them are going onwards to Armenia, which is more welcoming generally to Russians, because 20% of Georgian territory is occupied right now by Russian troops. So there's quite a high anti-Russian sentiment in Georgia. But just to get out, I mean, I know a friend of a friend is in trying to leave Kazakhstan, and there's thousands of cars in the queue. And in Georgia, the Russians sent an armored vehicle to the border to kind of stop their own people crashing through the border into Georgia. Yeah. So I mean, it's a chaotic situation for Putin, and one of his own making entirely.
Yeah. And, one of the things I wondered, Mark, was where Putin was really focusing his mobilization on, because I'd understood it was from the ethnic minorities in the Caucasus, from the Far East, and also from prisons.
Mm-hmm. Well, prisoners had already been forced kind of, well, some they'd volunteered. They'd been offered pardons, amnesties if they agreed to go and fight, and apparently reports say up to 11,000 prisoners have already been let out of jail to go and fight in Ukraine. But yeah, I mean, the mobilization is all over Russia, from IT workers in Moscow to fishermen in the far east of Russia. But there does seem to be a particular zeal to get people from, as you said, the ethnic minorities in Buryatia, which is in eastern Siberia, Dagestan, which is a kind of troublesome, volatile area of the North Caucasus. People from there have been disproportionately sent to the war, or are being rounded up and sent to the war. I was talking to an activist in Buryatia, and she said that an anti-war activist, and she said that draft officers, military officials, had come around at 4 a.m. in the morning to hand draft papers to people, and by 10 a.m. they were at the local military recruitment center where they were being taught first aid that could save their life.